Once you have the teams in the system, athletes in the roster, your match set up, and the hardware working properly, you are ready to run your match. Click on Match and Run. Select the match from the drop-down list, and then click OK. This is the Run screen. Before we begin the match, let's do a quick tour. The screen is divided into the blue team, or the home team, and the white team, the visiting team. At the top are the shot clock controls and the game clock controls, which will run as the game is played. The period is here, and the overtime checkbox, which will be checked if the match is in overtime. On each team's area are the function buttons for that team. This shows the score for the team, and by clicking on the G, it assigns 1 point to the team. This is the number of timeouts remaining for the team, and clicking the TO button will assign a timeout to that team. Clicking on the P button assigns a penalty to the team, clicking E assigns an ejection, and clicking the yellow or red boxes will assign a yellow or red card to the team. The team's fouls spinner shows the number of fouls that have been assigned to the team in the form of penalties or ejections. Clicking the GS button will record a goalie save in the match log. This is the same on the white team's side. You have the choice of using the buttons here in each of the areas to assign actions, or if you check the Enable Spinners box, you can also use the spinners to increase or decrease the numbers in the boxes instead. The buttons are tied to the clocks, so when you click on one, the clocks will stop and the shot clock will reset as necessary. Next to each team box is the Sprint button. Click on this button to designate who won the sprint at the beginning of play. You also have the Horn button, which you can click on to sound the horn at any time. When the horn sounds, the letters will turn red to let you know that it should be sounding. This button starts and stops the game clocks, or you can use the push buttons connected to your Polo interface. These buttons allow you to reset, start, and stop the shot clock if you are using one. Again, you can use the push buttons attached to the Polo interface to control this. If stop time is checked, the game clock will stop any time a goal is scored or a penalty is assigned. If you uncheck the box, the game clock will continue to run unless stopped by the operator. If the sync clock adjustment box is checked, then all three clocks, game, shot, and exclusion, will be synced. The arrows here are possession arrows. Click on an arrow to change the possession for that team. The team that has possession will have a green arrow. Any actions that you assign, like points and penalties, are automatically logged to the match log. The Edit Log button here will take you to that log and allow you to make changes. The Refresh button will refresh the scoreboard in case of a power glitch or a reset. The Undo Last button will undo a prior action in case a mistake was changed. The interval timer will run between periods and can be started, stopped, or reset here. Remember that the interval lengths were assigned in Match Setup. At the bottom of the screen are the rosters. If you entered a roster for the team, the cap numbers will show up here. Remember that you assigned a division and a gender to the match, so only the athletes with that division and gender will show up in the team roster. To see the athlete that is associated with the cap number, right-click on it. This will display the athlete's name if it is in the roster and their statistics for the match. To assign a goalie for the team, click in the goalie box, and then select the cap number of the goalie. Notice that the roster turned yellow, which is a reminder that you must select an athlete to assign the action. This will remind you that you need to select a cap number from the roster for certain actions. If you want to change a cap number for an athlete, click Change Cap, then select the athlete out of the roster, and then you can type in the new cap number. Now let's begin the match. We begin by starting the game clock, either here or by pressing the game clock push button. The white team won the sprint, so we'll click the white sprint button. Again, notice that the roster turned yellow to remind you to select the cap number of the athlete that will be credited with the sprint. To reset the shot clock, click the reset button. Or if you are using push buttons, pushing the shot clock button will also reset it. White scored the first goal, so click G for the white team. and then select the cap number from the roster. Now click the Start button to restart the game clock and shot clock, which was automatically reset. As time on the shot clock runs down, the counter will turn yellow, and as it runs out, the counter will turn red and a 4-second horn will sound. Reset the shot clock by clicking on the Reset button or pushing the shot clock button, and then click Start to restart the game clock. The blue team asks for a timeout, so we'll click the TO button for the blue team, and the interval timer will begin counting down for the timeout. A warning horn will sound, and another horn will sound at the end of the timeout. To restart the game, click the Start button. The blue team is assessed a penalty, so click the blue P button, and then click the cap number in the roster. Click Start to restart the game. Next, an exclusion penalty is assessed on the white team, so click the E and the cap number. You will now see the exclusion clock, which will begin counting down once you start the game clock again. If you need to clear the exclusion or change the time before the exclusion clock runs out, you can click on it in the box to remove it or make a change to the time that is left. Once you come to the end of the period, the interval timer will begin counting down the time between periods. At the end of the interval, the period number will increase, the clocks will reset, and you can begin the next period by clicking Start on the game clock. That's the basics for running a match. Now, let's take a look at the match log.